Ramesh sir, good evening. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay. We would just start.
Yes, sir.
Ambali ma'am. Ambali ma'am. Ambali ma'am, are you here?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yeah, we can
Yes,
start.
sir. Yes, sir. Okay. Good evening, all. Good evening, all, to the 31st Faculty Development Program organized by St. Chavra Center for Teaching Excellence and Education Innovation at St. Aloysius College, Elthur. With the blessings of Almighty, I would like to begin this session. For that, for the welcome speech, I would like to invite Professor Chakupi, sir, who is a former principal of our St. Aloysius College. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Emily. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir.
I would like to uh, extend a very warm welcome to all the participants to the FDP program that is being organized by St. Chavra Center for Teaching Excellence and Educational Innovation of St. Aloysius College. The St. Chavra Center for Teaching Excellence and Educational Innovation was established with the objective of orienting all stakeholders in higher education with a focus on faculty development. All stakeholders in higher education will be covered by St. Chavra Center, but our primary focus is on faculty development programs. The reason is the new faculty members who are recruited in colleges, especially in non-government sector. They need to be trained in the methodology and pedagogy of higher education, which is not often taken care of by the HRDCs or Madan Mohan Malviya training centers of the universities. So it was with this objective in mind, St. Aloysius College started St. Chavara Center for Teaching Excellence and Educational Innovation. We organize a training program, an FDP, on every month, and it's normally organized on weekends in the evening, so that it's convenient for everyone to join. So today is our 31st online program, 31st in the series. And today we will be dwelling into the topic empowering employability in higher education, which I think is a very relevant topic. I'm sure all of you will agree. It's basically because in an ever evolving world where changes are unending. We were thinking the computer wave was coming to an end. Then the bubble wave was coming to an end. Then the AI came in, and now it has started a new wave. So in an ever evolving world, the ultimate test of our education system lies in its ability to empower people for employability. Of course, there is an argument whether the objective of higher education is only employability. Is it not generation of knowledge, or is it related to knowledge and wisdom? But if we look at different parts of the world, we can see that these are two parallel streams. Unfortunately, in our country, it is often mingled up, but still, considering the youth population that we have in our country, they are more interested in employability rather than gathering or a generation of knowledge. So, what we need to do is to ensure that our degree holders that they are skilled enough to get a job after they finish their degree program. So today in this session, I hope we will delve into how we can bridge the gap between academic excellence and the dynamics of demand for modern workforce as expected by industries. We will also explore the innovative strategies and the collaborative approaches that can be adopted by educational institutions in this direction. So to deliver this talk and to lead the discussions, we have a very eminent resource person. The resource person of the day is Dr. S. Ramesh. He's Dean of International Programs and Partnerships, Mount Carmel College Autonomous, Bengaluru, Karnataka. Since he will be introduced formally after this welcome address, I'm not introducing him based on his CV, but you know that dean of a prestigious college who is into international programs and partnerships can definitely share a lot of information to us with us on how to better skill our graduates. So on behalf of St. Chavara Center, all the participants here, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Dr. S. Ramesh, Dean of International Programs and Partnerships, Mount Carmel College, Autonomous, Bengaluru. Welcome to you, sir, to this program. I also welcome the principal of St. Aloysius College, Dr. Daisy, the coordinator of IQAC of the college, Dr. Libizan, the coordinator of St. Chavara Center, Dr. Sindo, other faculty members of the college who have joined for this program. And most importantly, we have participants from different parts of the country, and sometimes we also have participants from outside the country. And it is the support of these participants that make us go on in the series of programs, which, as you can see, is now the 31st edition. So wholeheartedly, I welcome all the participants who have joined from different parts of the country and globe to this FDP program. So I hope this program will shed light on ways in which we can better equip our students and link the gap between the academics and industrial aspirations. So once again, welcoming you all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, for your warm welcome. Before moving on to the official session, I would like to introduce the speaker of the day, Dr. Ramesh, Dean of the International Programs and Partnerships, Mount Carmel College, Bengaluru. Dr. Ramesh, sir, has been a professor and head of the Commerce and Management of the PG Center, Mount Carmel College, since 1985. Being a researcher, he has successfully guided students for the PhD degree. His academic interest encompasses all areas of management and has presented a number of papers in various conferences, both in India and abroad. He is also the author of 6 books in commerce and management. He has involved government and university in the matters of academic interest. He is also a consultant to a number of companies and academic institutions. His interest in business, policy, and strategy came out of his exposure to industry and academics both in India and abroad. Sir, without further ado, I would like to welcome you, sir, for the enlightening session. Welcome you, sir.
Very good evening, everybody. Very happy to be here to be a part of this group to discuss a very vital issue concerning Indian education today. Uh, Esteemed Professor Chaco, Professor Ambly, Professor Sandhya Jayachandran, and esteemed Principal of St. Thomas College, Dr. Lipson, other and other teacher friends, and my fellow invitees. Uh, Here, it's once again, I just share my presentation. So, friends, it's very kind of, as I said, very happy to be here to share some of my thoughts on employability. And your Professor Chaco was really, very aptly, pointing out that, how the employability would contradict with the knowledge, wisdom. I think both are very essential. That you need a job to make a living, and at the same time you also need the wisdom to lead a life. So ultimately, the purpose of both of them probably looks like the same. And it is said, give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But when you teach him to fish, you'll feed him for a lifetime. Friends, today, if you look at the status of the Indian, at least, education, the employability, I am reminded of this, at least, anecdote. It seems there was an automobile engineer who was a PhD from one of the, at least, greatest universities. He was a PhD, please mind you, in automobile engineering. He had a problem with his car, and he couldn't kind of, repair it. So he took it to a small time mechanic by the roadside, and all that this mechanic did is he hit the car with a small hammer somewhere, and the car started working. This automobile engineer asked him what are the charges. Then this small time mechanic said, "Sir, you have to pay me 5,000." And automobile engineer said, 5,000 for hitting this car with my car with a small hammer. Then the mechanic said, "Sir, to hit the car with the hammer, it's only 5 rupees. But to tell you where to hit, it is 4,995 rupees." So, friends, today what is happening? We've been trying to kind of really that send out graduates. Thousands of graduates are coming out of our universities, institutions, and so on. But have you ever made some kind of a soul searching as to where these graduates are going? What industries are they going? What jobs are they picking up? And whatever skills that were imparted is good enough for them to kind of lead a employed life and also a personal life. This is the greatest question each one of us probably that will have to really ask. It if you look at the statistics, 50 million Indians are unemployed. 50 million Indians are unemployed, and 80% of labor has very limited formal education in our country. And it seems by 2030, the government is planning to provide 300 million jobs. If the economy is picking up, the post-COVID, of course, that we have really kind of done much better as compared to other countries, and it seems 300 million jobs are going to be created by 2030. And almost 17 different central ministries are working on training and development programs to bring these 300 million jobs alive. And there are 22 US India synergies to create these jobs. And there are sector skill councils, 100 plus sector skill councils coming out the skills that are required and for these particular jobs. And there are a
Excuse me,
number of
sir,
portfolios.
sorry to interrupt. Your slides are not moving.
Hello?
Yeah, your slides are not moving.
Slides are not moving, madam?
No, no. We are at the first slide only now.
Just see me? Now?
Not yet.
It's moving now?
Not yet, sir.
There is something wrong. I don't know what to do. Is it moving now, madam?
Not yet.
Not. What is something wrong? 1 second, I'll just go back. But are you able to see the slide? Hello? Hello?
Not now, sir. Not now. We were able to see the first slide earlier.
Okay.
Not now.
1 second.
Sir, if you are finding it difficult,
1
you
second.
just speak on. Sir, now you open your PPT. Screen is just shared now.
Medicana. Thank you.
So shall we go ahead? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good, man.
Yes, sir.
You're able to see the screen now? 1 second, I'm unable to screen.
Yeah. Yes. Uh, just before we were able to see that
Yeah.
presentation. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Now it's clear.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about it. I don't know. There's some problem. Yeah. Uh,
It's okay, sir. Now it's clear. Very clear.
yeah. So that there's a
Thank you,
need.
sir.
Actually, the number of skill development portfolios have also been developed, and need for the R is actually that the skill development. Please change slide. Yeah. If we look at it broadly, that we really there is a need for us to identify what kind of a skill set that the industry really looks, at least in the modern day. Basically speaking, that there are at least two kinds of at least skills which are very essential as far as employment is concerned. Hard are domain skills, and the soft skills are the coefficients, what we call it as. As far as the hard and domain skills are concerned, it is more to do with the program that is chosen, whether it's a BA or a BSc or a BCom program, and until and unless gets a deeper knowledge into one of the areas. What is happening that these days the degree, at least the syllabi is that, or the curriculum is such that it is too general until and unless we give them a specific skills. Let's say it's a management student very deeply rooted in marketing or deeply rooted in finance. If it's a chemistry student, whether there's some deeply rooted in some industrial chemistry, one specific area where they'll be no able to work on in and out of it. They're what's happening today, generally they're laying their hands on everything. It's very essential, but at the same time there is same kind of a core competence which is very very essential for them to kind of sell in the job market. That is really not happening. So therefore there is a need for us to work on these hard or domain skills. And the second type is the soft skills and the questions. In fact, if you look at most of the organizations, much more than the knowledge, they're really looking at this quotient called as the soft skills. So look at what are these hard or domain skills. Therefore, the domain knowledge, of course, and as I told you, super specialization is very essential in one of the areas. In and out of that, he must know whether it's a physics, whether it's chemistry, whether it is finance, whether it's marketing, whether it's economics, whether it's psychology. In one specific area, if he knows in and out of it, I think he should be able to do much better in the industry. At the heart of the domain skills, of course, I spoke about. I don't speak much about it because I leave it to the teachers to really have their own methodology to do that. But generally, even under these domain skills, which are very essential, the most that is spoken about thing in the industry while students are being recruited is their analytical ability. Are they able to analyze a given situation? Are they able to identify the problem areas? Are they able to come out with certain kind of solutions? So non-supervisory, at least the kind of workforce is what really industry is looking at, because the cost of supervision has become much, much higher in the industry. So therefore somebody who can kind of use their own analytical ability, use the data, as today the artificial intelligence, robotics, and much more at least technological development have taken place. There are a lot of analytical tools available. So using those data techniques, can somebody be more analytical in nature is what really industry is looking at. Whether we can incorporate this into the curriculum is a great challenge. How to use at least this and teach them this analytical ability and the process of analyzing. So teaching them bit of big data and analytics, whether they are art students or science students or commerce students, becomes more kind of relevant. And numerical ability, that bit of simple mathematics is very essential, although there's some of them may not be kind of used to mathematics, but some small little calculations are very essential for any kind of a job, whether you can, that is, give them some inputs on this. Logical ability. So logical thinking is another way that industry is testing the ability of these at least graduates who go out at least for employment. So logical reasoning, and maybe that lot of exercise available in conducting this a logical at least analysis. So whether that now we can also kind of do this in the classrooms is another thing that we can think about. And another issue is, apart from analytical, numerical, and logical abilities, these are the kind of tests the industry has been giving, irrespective of what job it is. These are analytical, numerical, logical, and language ability, or at least some simple English, at least without some mistakes, especially the written English, the technical writing, and things like that are also kind of being that being kind of considered. So we should probably focus little on how we can kind of give that kind of a language skill is most essential. And it goes without saying, whether art, science, or commerce, or any kind of a graduate, little bit of computer literacy with the data analytics will go in a long way. Little bit of R programming or Python and bit of data visualization, such other things are very essential today, whether they like it or not. And little bit on what's the kind of technology that's happening in the industry. Little awareness is also very essential. So these are some of the kind of maybe that hard or domain skills that probably that are very useful. And how we bring that into the curriculum, that is how do we bring how to teach them how to analyze little bit of data, some simple techniques in analyzing the data that can be kind of brought into the curriculum, and various other domain skills we talk about. So as far as this soft skills and other questions are concerned, please mind you that the industry, most of the time, it seems there was a global survey of HR managers to find out what is that they look for when they really recruit these graduates from the campuses. But almost 80% of them said 70% of the time they're looking at the attitude of an individual much more than the knowledge quotient. So it is very essential how we can build some positive attitudes into these at least people. This is a great challenge. Probably 50% of the time we have to probably spend, please mind you, in shaping the attitude. Because it is the attitude that determines their altitude. So therefore, very essential how we develop this. And the message power, I was talking about the communication skills. When I talk about my message power, it's not merely the language, but also the art of creative communication, how they can kind of get the work done is most important thing. Much more than anything else that I have put the top of the pyramid, ethics and values. So it is very essential. Any that is especially the kind of maybe that companies which are very elite companies are looking at people with ethics and values. So much more than anything else, they're looking at this cohesion. So that's most important. Let's look in detail about those issues. And networking and people skills, most of them really they work on the campuses. The purpose of at least college education is not merely to kind of build them into curriculum, but offer them enough opportunities to network with people outside the organization, outside the college, and even within the organization itself, within the college itself, how they can develop these people skills that comes through organization of lot of activities, group exercises, and things like that. And even the group skills, as individuals, they're extraordinary. As it is said, most Indians are extraordinary as individuals, but when you put them into the group, that is where they kind of really lack that understanding of how to work in a group and how to make an impact. Actually, that personal brand building is another area. Probably we would look at how we can kind of do that, and some futuristic power. So let's go about these in detail. Madam, could you please change the slide? Yeah. Uh, so if you look at the attitude, actually it's very essential that how we develop very positive attitudes is one thing which is very, very essential. So attitude of the positive attitude must be an attitude of gratitude. What we can develop is what really probably we have to look at, because most of the time, most organizations are focusing, as I told you, more on 60% of the time, because you're being hired for your attitude and also hired for your competency, but fired for your attitude. Employees don't leave their organizations, but they leave their bosses. So therefore, both for the employer and the employee, it's most important that a positive attitude when they develop, it's going to be thing. How do we bring that into the curriculum is a great challenge. Let's look at that, how we can do that little later. Putting them, exposing them to more of community projects, and at least giving them exposure to the current rural life, giving them some exposure, taking them to the hospitals and see that how people are suffering. That really I did that when I was the dean of an MBA program. That I should make compulsory that these people have to go and at least work for a month in some hospitals, some NGOs and things like that. And I could see that there is a substantial, at least change in their very attitude itself when they see people suffering. So the Vairagya must come to them at a very young age. And so how we can focus on this is what really kind of we have to kind of look at. And goal orientation. So most of them don't know really that why are they doing a particular degree, where are they going, what jobs to kind of look for, and how these where these jobs are available. They're not very clear of the goal. So until and unless that we have to kind of at the very young age, and probably at the post SSLC or post 10th standard itself, probably that there is a need for them to kind of be very focused and goal oriented. So how we can kind of give them that kind of some through exercises that we can make them know what their kind of first we have probably have to make a self evaluation.
What did they see flying over the flowers? Fly
yellow and blue, but
Excuse me, Jolly ma'am, can you please? Thank you, ma'am.
So there is the kind of the goal orientation that we can kind of give them some kind of right at the probably the 10th standard level itself. Probably first we have to do the self evaluation of these individuals as to what they're good at and what are their strengths, what their weaknesses are, and then based on that kind of probably we have to suggest some kind of how they can kind of focus on their goals is what probably that we have to really look at. And reliability, most of them actually so kind of weird they're not sure of really that what they want in life. They feel that maybe most of the time being young, that most the time that they spend on entertainment and how they can channelize their energy into positive things is probably that we have to look at how we can build that. And reliability is what the industry is looking at. Whether are you a reliable person? Because most of these individuals, what they do that our own kind of youngsters, if we get a few dollars more, they jump into some other company. Not kind of very reliable and stay put in some company with some kind of commitment. Even given a particular job, they don't put it their heart and soul into that. So can we kind of create that kind of an awareness in them about reason for at least reliability? The reasoning also, as I've already spoken to that, energy is one thing that health is another area which really is required. Probably that during the college days we put them on to more a bit of physical education, sports and other things, making it compulsory for them to kind of take part in something or the other probably would increase their physical fitness. So that's most important. And how they can manage a crisis. This is one thing that which is very essential. Most organizations look at people who can manage this particular situation. I am reminded of an anecdote. Actually, we are talking about crisis management. It seems Albert Einstein, when he came to fame, he was going around several universities delivering some lectures on relativity and other issues. One day he was on his way to Brussels University and he really mind went totally blank. He did not know really what to do. He told his driver, "Let's go back because I'm not in the right frame of mind to speak today." But but the driver said, "No, sir, we should somehow make it there, and we should ensure that we deliver some lecture there." Einstein, of course, said, "No, I am not able to." And the driver ultimately said, "So is it the same lecture which you've been delivering, which I am listening to sitting in the last bench? So don't worry. Today I will deliver this lecture, and you be my driver." They're not seen Einstein. Both of them, it seems, agreed and went to that university. And Einstein was sitting like a driver in the last bench. And this driver could give a lecture much better than the Einstein could do. But at the end, one of the scholars asked him a very simple question. And look at the presence of mind and crisis management skill of this driver. He doesn't know how to answer, but he knows how to manage the situation. He brings Einstein and tells him, "This is a simple question which my driver will answer," and he'll make Einstein to answer this question. Friend, what I'm trying to tell you is that the presence of mind and my ability to manage a crisis is going to be the kind of greatest challenge actually. So how do we react to the situation? As even Darwin said, It is not the kind of finest of individuals. It is not the most efficient individuals, but those individuals which have the ability to react to the situation will kind of go on top of this word. So how we manage, at least teach them, put them on certain situations where the crisis is involved, and leave them as to how they can manage such situations, will practically give them some awareness of how to at least handle if there's a crisis. I see a lot of youngsters committing suicides and things like that at a very young age for nothing, very petty things at least. So therefore, there's a need for us to kind of see how we can build that, maybe the resilient skills in them. So fearlessness is another thing that you should probably tell them that they have nothing to lose. They have to kind of be bold in whatever kind of they're doing. I really remind of this, in the IPL, that Vaibhav Suryamshi, 14-year-old boy scoring 100 runs in the IPL at least tournament against the stalwart teams, actually, that without fear. That is what kind of really needed in the workplace too. Initiatives, initiate, of course, most of them actually don't take, because what they do, that when they have to recruit these graduates, they put them into some group discussion. Generally, why they put them into group discussion is to see that whether he takes an initiative in kind of striking a conversation, taking the conversation forward, making others also speak and things like that. So whether that kind of initiative, taking initiative is one thing that probably these graduates will also have to kind of really focus on. And multitasking is one more. If you're just a ranked student with 90%, 95%, you are a topper, that really does not really matter much. What is most important for the industry is whether at the same time you can do two or three things more. Can you kind of be drive the car? Can you be a good singer? You're a good sports person. You really know a little bit of artificial intelligence, much more. So something which is extra that you can kind of do along with your own job. So multitasking, doing at least several things at the same time, is what probably you should also kind of practice. And this is one area which also really needs some kind of an attention. So next slide, madam. Yeah. Yeah. So third, actually, that we are talking about is the communication quotient. I was talking about now the knowledge and also the language, especially. But not merely language is good enough, but also kind of the message part. That is how creative we can be, is what probably we should look at. When I'm talking about communication, it seems that that there is a HMT, that Hindustan Machine Tools in Bangalore, which is closed now. They were global leaders actually in the watch industry and the machine industry also. They produced only one machine in the first year. In the second year of their operation, they produced only two machines. It seems the public relations officer was addressing a press conference. He was highlighting all the achievements of HMT for that annual year. So that what he could have said, he could have said only we produced one machine in the first year, two machines in the second year. But very clever he was. He was very kind of articulate, and he said there's 100% growth in HMT's production. It's a fact. One in the first year, two in the second year, it's 100% growth. And the next day, all the newspapers carry headlines 100% growth in HMT's production. So, what I'm trying to say is how you can be kind of the art of communication lies more in concealing than revealing. Whether you can kind of teach our students that to be very creative in their own communication skills, how differently they can communicate the same thing, five or six different types that they can communicate the same thing itself. So especially that now when they are in the kind of receiving end, how they can get the work done through their kind of creative communication skill by using their humility and a blend of other qualities is what really matters. And story building is one other area of developing their message power or communication power. But they're not able to kind of connect the words, make sentences, and it's only through story building, which is that now in schools that now we adopted this methodology, but in colleges we don't do that. But it is still essential, especially in most of management institutes. It's done. How to make them kind of bring any particular event in the form of a story and narrate it, so that their at least communication skills would be much better. and even teaching them the art of negotiation. Most of them kind of go everywhere you go, you're negotiating. Please mind you whether that as soon as you move out, even in house itself, you'll have to negotiate with your own parents, your own brothers, your own sisters. When you go out, you have to negotiate with industry, you have to negotiate with a lot of people actually around you. How you kind of negotiate, and this negotiation skills are also very very essential, and how what are the principles of this negotiation can also be taught. But in my fundamental principle in negotiation, it says, to just give an example, you should also kind when you negotiate with the individual, you should keep kind of praising him and say yes, yes, yes to everything that he says. Ultimately, a point would come where that at a minor stage that you should say, I think it would be very difficult and get the work done through at least your own skills. So what I'm saying, negotiation is an art actually. How you bring people, for instance, look at this, maybe the Donald Trump, I don't know with all the thing, that he was able to kind of stop the war in a day. I don't know how happened, we don't kind of debate on that, but it did happen. So how you can kind of negotiate with people is what probably that now our students will have to learn. And persuasion ability, whether kind of they can persuade others to put in their best is one thing that we should also kind of look at in terms of the communication question. How do you persuade? If you're going to take up a marketing job, how do you do that? If you're going to kind of a CEO of a company, how do you kind of persuade others to kind of achieve your goals? So some persuasion techniques are also very essential. Please go to the next one. Yeah. So the next comes is the networking and people skills. So this very essential from student days itself. They should start networking, expose them to a lot of industry people, and best way to do that is get some mentors from the industry. So that each mentor, maybe your own alumni could be in the industry. Request him whether he can mentor some 5 people. That is right from the first year of the degree till the end of their graduation. He's going to the mentor for all their academic and some industry needs also for projects, for assignments and things like that, and for also career. And this really works. So how you can network with people in the industry, probably will have to kind of teach them that. And social and mixing skills are very essential. Most of them kind of keep aloof actually. They don't kind of mix with people at all. So you should provide them adequate opportunities through some seminars, conferences, group exercises, and things like that as to mix. Because today, cross-cultural, at least management is what really happening. Because every workplace is a global workplace today. So mixing skills come into play a very important role. And another most important thing today spoken about is the emotional intelligence. That is, how do you use your emotions very intelligently to get the work done. So therefore, that it seems actually that there is a kind of anecdote about this when I talk about emotional intelligence. It is Nizam. Actually, that was a very kind of a very popular Nizam during those old Indian days. So it seems one person that very that a religious person went to him to ask for some money to build some university. Nizam is a very wise man, very kind man who had helped a lot of these institutions to come up. But what happened that that day he was not in a mood and he said what universities you are not doing anything in the universities, playing only politics and things like that. They are not going to give you any money, and he threw his chapel at this this person who went to kind of ask for money. All the person who that went asked for money did is he took both the chapels of Nizam and went near that place called as Charminar, kept both the chapels there for auction. A lot of people gathered there, and because buying chapel, Nizam chapel is a very prestigious thing. Some people started bidding, and it went up till some those days, some 1,000 rupees up to 1,000 rupees. Nizam came to know that his chapel is being sold for only 1,000 rupees, so he went his ministers with the bag full of money to buy back this chapel. So this person, please mind you, got whatever money he wanted to build that university, and at the same time, not kind of maybe that Nizam's prestige was also kind of retained at the same kind of level. So what I'm trying to say is how anger management is one thing which is very essential in the industry. What happens? They ask you such awkward questions. In one of the interviews, that the interviewer asked, "Are you married?" And this boy said, "No, I am not married." The next question the interviewer asked is, "How many children you have?" He abruptly, this boy said, "What are you saying? I am not married. You're asking me how many children I have." And he started kind of yelling, and a lot of scenes he created. See, the purpose of asking such a question is, how do you react to a situation in a group is what anybody is testing. So therefore, this kind of emotional intelligence very essential, and see, anger management and practices will also go in a long way in kind of avoiding some kind of conflicts and confrontations. So another skill that that the industry is looking at is how do you cooperate with the organization in achieving the goals. But there are different kinds of people. Some are kind of lazy, some are very efficient, some are very politics ridden, some people are very negative. In spite of that, how do you cooperate in a group is what really probably you have to look at. So whether we can kind of give them some skills on how they can be more cooperative in their own kind of interest. So decision making skills are also important because it is said a bad decision is better than an indecision. So some decision making skills, how to weigh the alternatives, how to find the alternatives, how to arrive at a better alternative, probably this can also be focused upon. And determination is one thing that we already spoken. So kind of Abraham Lincoln at the age of kind of 32, that I was told that he kind of became bankrupt. He lost his wife, lost his children, and become at least had some mental problems. Even in spite of all that, he becomes the president. So how at least determination is very essential. Could also be kind of taught to them, and problem solving skills are very essential in every organization. Every day that there are hundreds of problems that an organization faces, but is there a kind of way out to solve these kind of problems, arrive some kind of solutions? So people are looking at problem solvers than problem givers. So if you are good in problem solving, so that's one of your core competencies actually in the industry. And so method of problem solving can be a part of the curriculum, not merely mathematical problems, but also real life problems, organizational problems, market driven problems through case studies, and through other kind of methods of assignments. You can kind of teach them how to solve a problem. So people are also looking at entrepreneurial ability in individuals, not only entrepreneurial but entrepreneurial, but also entrepreneurial. Those who can kind of work as entrepreneurs within the organization. So that it's essential. Look at Dhirubhai Ambani, for that matter, is a seventh standard school dropout, was able to build such a big empire because of the entrepreneurial ability. So ability to take risk is one of the fundamentals of entrepreneurship. Whether kind of we can teach them how to kind of really risk at the same time, not take very big risk, but small little risk is to be taken if you have to kind of move forward. And leadership qualities we can build them, because what kind of leadership that they follow is going to kind of determine the fate of any organization. So some leadership qualities could also be kind of built in that. So please go to the next, madam. Yeah. And the next, at least spoken about topic is the group skills or the group behavior. So team building is one area, the group cohesion, self motivation, and especially the conflict management is one area which is very very important. In actually that the one who knows kind of how to talk will never get into kind of quarrels. One who knows how to kind of what a good food, he will never run into health problems. Is what the kind of saying goes. So, how we can avoid the conflict, how minimize at least the anger, and arrive at some kind of peaceful solutions to problems. See, look at actually that there are so many global leaders actually today in the world, but the whole world is today heading towards destruction with the kind of war, with people losing their lives, losing the property, everything. But the most important thing, that means have we really kind of not been able to provide this good education to these leaders is what kind of is a big question mark today. One person's whims and fancies can determine the whole country's our words fade. So this is a kind of a really a tragedy. So how there is a need for kind of some kind of a maybe that patience is very essential. How this can be kind of brought about. So because at a young age that vairagya must come with the art of detachment. Probably if we can practice, bring them some yoga camps and maybe through kind of some spiritual talks, whether we can kind of give them that kind of an input. Although that these modern day the children are more fancied by the western kind of maybe life, but yet we can see that how we can kind of bring them back to the normal at least route. So the change management is one area which is kind of industry is looking at from these individuals who seek jobs, whether that you can manage change, because every day you find that there is going to be a change. That will change in the kind of way we think, change in the way we act, change in the way we produce, change in the way we consume. A change is inevitable. Only thing that is certain is change, and rest all is uncertain. So whether can you kind of bring in this kind of how to kind of react to change is what probably that is essential even in the kind of industry, and some customer orientation is essential. Madam, till what time that I can go on, because 78 you said, since can I know that how much more time that I can?
Yeah, yes,
So,
another 10
so,
minutes.
Hello,
Sir,
hello.
another
so
10
you have,
minutes.
so,
Can I go on for another 15 minutes, madam? That okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks. So conflict, strategic thinking, stability of mind is what more essential, because when you talk about emotional intelligence, it's a stability of mind that really takes any person or individual on top of this world. So whether that detachment can be practiced, as even kind of elder said, be not attached. Reserve unto yourself the power of detaching from everything whenever you like it. So if you lead a detached attachment, a life with a detached attachment, I think life will be much more. Because if you start expecting something in return, that is where the whole failure is. If you, as long as you do it like a duty, returns will come to you in multiple times. The great Lord certainly will give you whatever that you need. It's only a testing time. Bad times are only a testing time. So if these religious, at least spiritual intelligence is what really, which is very very essential today, and can be that really put them into a lot of prayer and religious practices, and get them involved in that, and so that the stability of mind at least really develops. And some professional ethics is also very essential. Whenever industry requires them to be more professional, no unethical practices are kind of tolerated, because I see a lot of organization overnight people are kind of removed just because they are very unethical. So ethics is one thing that which can be practiced and seen through a lot of other, as a part of the curriculum itself. We have today ethics in every at least subject, but it is only taught. But ethics cannot be kind of only taught. It's got to be practiced, and how we can. So it's the need for family support and other at least friend support and other societal support is very essential to really mold a person into more ethical values. And flexibility is one thing, whether that individuals can work as a watchman at the same time watch as a chairman, watchman to chairman, this amount of flexibility, and from bathroom to boardroom you're so flexible that you don't mind whether you eat in a star hotel, you're prepared, you read roadside, you're prepared, whether you work with the kind of poorest of man, you work with the richest of man. If that kind of flexibility exists with you, that you're more readily accepted by the industry. And imagination is also essential, because most of the things happen only when you kind of imagine. That's most essential. Whether we can teach them that how to kind of dream bigger, as even our past president Abdul Kalam said, the only sin is not to dream bigger things. So you dreaming bigger is what really kind of takes you at least a long way. So please go to the next one. Yeah. So impact power, how do you create impact is one thing that is also very essential. So you will create impact only when you are very innovative. It seems in the United States they have developed a refrigerator which is connected to the motor through artificial intelligence. And this refrigerator kind of, as soon as stock of a particular goods are over in the refrigerator, let's say you stored some 5 kgs of potatoes, you start using it, the stock level has come down to 1 kg. There is a sensor inside the refrigerator which sends an email to the potato supplier. The next day, the potato supplier would have come with potatoes at your doorstep without you knowing that there's a shortage of potatoes in the refrigerator. So technology is improving so fast that innovation is very, very essential. So how do you kind of teach them think creatively and innovatively is one kind of that we have to probably inculcate a sense in there. And of course, common sense made complicated is management. Enormous common sense is very essential. They say common sense is an instinct, and enough of that will make you a genius. So, however great you are, however talented you are, if you lack common sense, that means 50% you're already kind of that is a failure. So, bit of common sense. Common sense cannot be taught. Of course, it need to be kind of picked up and practiced. However, we can only create awareness in them, and some amount of mentoring also is very skills are very essential in the individuals. How do they pick up is a kind of challenge, and how we can kind of be role models actually to the society through ethical practices. Multi-skilling, I've already kind of discussed about that, and creativity is what really that you should also look at. They're doing things creatively will kind of add value to us individuals. When I'm talking about creativity, it seems Godrej, when they came out with a hair dye for the first time in the market, they thought that it's only the urban people who will buy the hair dye. To their surprise, they saw that a lot of rural people buying a lot of hair dye. They wanted to know really why rural people are buying so much of hair dye. Their research revealed that it seemed these rural people were buying the hair dye to dye the buffalo hair to sell the buffalo for a better price. That's what creativity is all about. And in your own small little ways, you need not be a scientist. You need not be a kind of, maybe develop some rocket science. In our own ways, how we can be creative is what probably that we should probably teach them. And nationalism is what is really very lacking. That is most important thing that we need to kind of for them to kind of own that their own country is becoming very difficult among the youngsters. I see them, they don't kind of stand for a national anthem or for a college prayer in one place, keep talking. There's a need for us to guide us actually, because the history is going to blame us that we have produced such students who really have no commitment to kind of at least one nation. So therefore, that whether that the sense of nationalism can also be built in them, and precision is what really that industry is looking at. You may be very efficient, but doing it with speed and precision is what is required. When you talk about precision, you see, we have heard of this the Mumbai Dabbawalas. They carry at least thousands of tiffin boxes, and the possibility of delivering a wrong tiffin box and taking back the same tiffin boxes to back home is the greatest kind of and very difficult task. But they do it with such precision. They were kind of given some quality award too. So personal branding is one area that probably that one has to focus more on. If those qualities, what we are talking about, if they really build it, they probably going to be a better brand, because personal branding, a personal brand building should start beginning at least at the college level itself. And their ability to learn and relearn and unlearn. First, actually, that where they can unlearn and relearn is what really that an industry wants them, because we would have taught them some curriculum which may not be kind of relevant, outdated. Industry has a different thing altogether, but they should have the ability to unlearn and relearn. So, strategic thinking and how these individuals can balance between faith, family, fitness, friends, and finance is a great challenge. And managing time is the most thing. With actually that we teach them the skills of time management, how to not waste so much of time, how to at least use the time saved for productive purposes, and some time management workshops and exercises are also very essential. Please, madam, next one. Yeah, I close in 5 minutes. Yeah. Ethics and values, these are some of them that which are really industry looks at. It is through the research that these are all the qualities that they're really checking and doing some kind of test or the other to find out whether that some organization may not skip some of them, but most of them kind of by and large in some form or the other test these kind of things. So honesty is one thing, integrity, branding, I was already talking about, and with dedication, sincerity, for want of time, skipping some of them, lean management. See, this is what really interests me. Being simple, simplicity is what really that is the order of the day. Today, there's a practice called as lean management practice, where you try to kind of shed whatever is really not required. Keep the organization or individual slim and trim. That is to shed all the kind of unwanted things is what simplicity is all about. Organizations also looking at how a person can simplify things within the organization. Orientation to work is one thing. Japanese are great actually in the orientation of work is concerned. It seems in one of the footwear companies, when they went on strike, they only manufactured the right footwear. Of the strike was called, they called off, that they started manufacturing the left footwear to make it a pair. So productivity is not lost. So creative they are, even in their kind of maybe when they have to kind of work against the organization, or when they want to go on a strike, they're very creative, and they really they really ensure that they kind of don't lose time, and also kind of ensure that the things are put to productive uses. Humility is one another quality probably one should probably have, and that how we can teach them to be very that great people like Abdul Kalam. What humility, that the great man. So, lot more things actually that that the greatest people are always kind of simple and have that humility. Where they can develop these kind of humility is one thing. Responsible taking responsibility is another thing that we must also look at. Madam, next one, yeah. So these are the futuristic questions. So if you have to survive in the future, these are the things that one probably will have to look at. Thriving in diverse environments, because the world today is we are looking kind of, especially in a VUCA world, uncertainty, confusion, and wherever you look at actually that there's always a crisis. And how do we kind of work in that kind of a very confused environment, very chaotic environment? Is one thing which is to be kind of learned. We have to adjust to these issues. So probably we have to kind of get them immune to this thriving in diverse environments. Eagerness to foresee challenge. That is, one who can foresee the future is what is really required. Change and lifelong learning. Awareness, understanding, empathy for other workers is what is really expected of. Different ways of doing things, interacting with multiple contexts. That now whether put in a foreign group or a local group, you kind of are very comfortable establishing rapport very quickly with any individual. He has the quality to kind of establish rapport very quickly. Some people take hours together if they have to strike a conversation. They don't know really how to kind of wish somebody that a stranger, how to pick up a conversation stranger, and so on. So how we can kind of build these skills, effective in cross-cultural settings, learn quickly, capable of working in handle difficult situations, handle stress, identify problem areas. So anyway, that I've taken more time. What I'll do is I'll share this presentation. I've already shared the presentation with the organizers, and probably that you can kind of look at that, and it's too simple. Kind of you look at it, you will be able to kind of go through it. So I thought maybe I'll kind of leave it open if there are one or two questions, and then yeah. So because I couldn't, at least it will be a little slow and go in detail because want of time, because of maybe the technological problem. So so if there are any kind of maybe that issues that we can discuss, we are open now. And to kind of conclude, we must say that it is, we are going to be either kind of skillish or foolish. That's what probably that it's going to be at the end, because how we react to the situation. Tomorrow the history is going to blame us that we did not produce quality students who have these kind of skills. So if all these skills are very impossible, of course one becomes a saint if he has all those qualities. That's a different thing. But as much as possible, whatever skills that we can develop will ultimately help us not only in the industry but also interacting with the society and be useful citizen to this country. Because if we look at 20% of US, at least engineers actually are from the Indian origin, and even medical at least professionals from the Indian origin. NASA's workforce, I was told, some 30% NASA's workforce is Indian. So great is the country, but we are unable to kind of really that to put more efforts together, at least within the country itself, to make India the great. I am sure a day will come where $1 is going to be a rupee. It's towards that we have to work and make our youngsters to kind of aim for this kind of a situation. So thank you so much, really, that the college management and others, especially the Dr. Lipson who coordinated with me, and Dr. Muthu who was my friend that who put me onto this opportunity. So if there are one or two kind of questions, I would like to kind of take, and then probably we can wind up.
Yes, sir. Is there any questions participants can raise now? If there are any questions. Okay, Ambali ma'am.
I hope there is no doubt or there is any questions. So it was a wonderful session, sir. It was
Thank you.
so overall development, how to develop our skills, how to be presentable and all. It was wonderful as a teacher. It was very enlightening. And now, for winding up the session, I would like to invite Dr. Sandhya Jayachandran, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, for vote of thanks. Over to you, ma'am, for the commendations.
Thank you, Ambali. Good evening, all. I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks for the Faculty Development Program organized by St. Chavra Center for Teaching Excellence and Educational Innovation on empowering employability in higher education. Let me start by thanking the Almighty for making this session a resounding success. First and foremost, I would like to place on record our sincere thanks to the Speaker of the Day, Dr. S. Ramesh, Dean of International Programs and Partnerships, Mount Carmel College, Autonomous, Bengaluru, for his insightful session on how to empower our students with various skill sets that would make them employable. Thank you, sir, for giving a detailed perspective on various qualities that needs to be inculcated in our students to make them suit better for the industry. Thank you, sir. We are grateful to Professor Chaco Jospi, former principal, St. Aloysius College, for his able guidance and his continued support. I would like to thank Dr. Dias Edie, principal in charge, St. Aloysius College, for his stewardship and unstinted support. My heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Sindo Jacob, coordinator, St. Chavra Center for Teaching Excellence and Educational Innovation, and Dr. Libison KB, IQAC coordinator, for organizing this 31st edition of Faculty Development Program. I thank all the participants for the interest shown and for your participation in this FDP. Hope you are enriched with tons of information after attending this FDP. Least but not least, I thank all my colleagues for your cooperation in making this program a success. Once again, I thank you all for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. For all the participants, can you all please on your video so that we can click some snaps? And there is a link sent. So please do fill in the form, Google form. Thank you for your cooperation.
So, Ramesh sir, thank you. We will
Thank
be
you,
in
sir.
touch. Thank you
So-
for your time.
Thank you, sir. I really enjoyed it, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm very grateful to you for really putting me into this group. Thank you so much. Yeah.
We will be in
Thank
touch.
you.
Sir.
I can log out, sir.
we will be in touch. I'll
Sure.
call you.
Sure, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.